In this episode, we look at evidence and stakeholders during security investigations, including file integrity, log integrity, memory dumps, bit copies, snapshots, and log parsing. We also look at why groups such as human resources, HR, legal, accounting, and other business stakeholders may become involved. This topic matters because an investigation is not only a technical search for clues. It is also a controlled process where evidence must remain trustworthy, decisions must be documented, and the right people must be included at the right time. A security team may collect files, logs, memory, disk images, cloud snapshots, or parsed event data, but that evidence can affect employees, customers, finances, contracts, and legal obligations. When you understand both the technical evidence and the human stakeholders, you can see why investigations require discipline, communication, and careful handling. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. File integrity means knowing whether a file is the same as it was before or whether it has changed. During an investigation, that can be extremely important. A file might be a system file, a configuration file, an application file, a report, a database export, a script, or a document containing sensitive information. If a file was changed, the team needs to know when the change happened, what changed, who or what made the change, and whether the change was authorized. File integrity can help identify tampering, malware activity, unauthorized edits, or accidental damage. One common way to support file integrity is by using a hash, which is a unique-looking value created from the contents of a file. If the file changes, the hash should change too, which gives investigators a way to compare versions. File integrity is not only about proving that something changed. It can also help prove that something did not change. That matters when a team is trying to determine whether a trusted file remained clean or whether a piece of evidence stayed the same after collection. For example, if investigators collect a suspicious file from a workstation, they may calculate a hash at the time of collection and compare it later to confirm the file was not altered during analysis. This supports confidence in the evidence. File integrity monitoring can also alert when protected files are modified unexpectedly. That can help detect attacks that replace system files, alter web pages, change scripts, or modify configuration settings. The larger idea is that integrity gives the team a way to talk about evidence with more confidence than memory or appearance alone. Log integrity is similar in spirit, but it focuses on whether log records can be trusted. Logs are often central to an investigation because they show sign-ins, access attempts, configuration changes, errors, network connections, and administrative actions. If logs can be changed easily, deleted casually, or overwritten too quickly, the investigation becomes much weaker. Attackers sometimes try to clear logs or alter records to hide what they did. Internal mistakes can also damage logs, even when nobody is trying to deceive anyone. Good log integrity depends on protected storage, restricted access, reliable time settings, retention rules, and methods that make tampering difficult or visible. A log is only useful if the team can reasonably trust that it reflects what happened. If the logs are incomplete or unprotected, the team may have to rely on less direct evidence. Log integrity also supports accountability. If an administrator changes a permission, disables a security control, or creates a new account, the organization may need to prove who took that action and when. If the audit log can be altered by the same person who performed the action, accountability is weaker. This is why important logs are often sent to a centralized logging platform or protected storage where ordinary system users cannot change them. Time synchronization matters here because logs from different systems must line up in a single timeline. If one server is several minutes off and another uses a different time setting, the order of events may be confusing. During an investigation, trustworthy logs help the team distinguish between confirmed facts, reasonable assumptions, and unanswered questions. Memory dumps are another evidence source, and they capture information from a system's active memory. Active memory is often called random access memory, or RAM, and it can contain information that does not exist in the same form on disk. This may include running processes, network connections, encryption keys, malware fragments, user sessions, command history, or other temporary data. Memory can be valuable because some attacks try to avoid writing obvious files to storage. A malicious process may run mostly in memory and leave fewer traditional file traces. A memory dump gives investigators a chance to examine what was happening while the system was still running. The challenge is that memory is volatile. If the system is shut down or restarted, much of that information may disappear. Collecting memory requires care because the collection process can affect the system. Investigators need to decide whether capturing memory is worth the possible impact and whether the system should remain powered on long enough to preserve volatile evidence. In some cases, the priority may be to isolate the system and capture memory before shutting it down. In other cases, business impact or containment needs may lead the team to act differently. The right choice depends on the incident, the system's importance, and the evidence needed. At the Security Plus level, you should understand that memory dumps are useful when investigators need information about active processes and temporary state. They do not replace disk evidence, logs, or snapshots. They add a view of what was happening in the system at a specific moment. Bit copies, also called bit-level copies or forensic images, capture storage in a very complete way. Instead of copying only the files a normal user can see, a bit copy attempts to copy the storage media at a lower level. This can include deleted file remnants, slack space, file system metadata, hidden areas, and other data that may not appear in a simple folder view. This matters because important evidence may not be inside an obvious document or application file. An attacker may delete a tool, remove a file, or rely on artifacts that remain in less visible parts of storage. A bit copy allows investigators to analyze the evidence without repeatedly touching the original device. That helps preserve the original state and supports a more careful review. Bit copies are important for evidence preservation because investigators usually prefer to analyze a copy rather than the original when possible. The original device or storage media can be secured, documented, and protected from unnecessary change. The analysis can happen on a verified copy. Hashes can help show that the copy matches the original at the time it was created. This is especially important if evidence may be used for legal, disciplinary, insurance, or regulatory purposes. A normal file copy may be enough for some routine operational questions, but a serious investigation may require a more complete forensic image. The key idea is that a bit copy helps preserve evidence more fully and reduces the chance that analysis will accidentally alter the original source. Snapshots are another source of investigation evidence, especially in virtual, cloud, and storage environments. A snapshot captures the state of a system, disk, volume, database, or virtual machine at a particular point in time. This can be useful when a team needs to preserve an affected system before making changes, or when it needs to compare the current state against an earlier one. In cloud environments, snapshots can help investigators preserve storage volumes from a compromised server, review changes, or support recovery. They can also help teams investigate without keeping a live compromised system connected to the environment. A snapshot is not always the same as a full forensic image, but it can be a practical way to preserve state quickly in environments where systems are created, changed, and removed rapidly. Snapshots have limits, so they need to be understood before they are relied on too heavily. A snapshot may not capture active memory unless the platform specifically supports that type of capture. It may not include every log source, every attached resource, or every external dependency. It may also contain sensitive data, which means it needs access controls and careful retention. If a snapshot is used for recovery, the team must be sure it does not simply restore the same weakness or malicious content that caused the incident. If a snapshot is used for investigation, the team should document when it was taken, what it includes, who created it, and where it is stored. Snapshots are useful because they can freeze a point in time, but they still need evidence handling discipline. Log parsing is the process of taking raw log data and breaking it into meaningful fields that people and tools can search, filter, compare, and understand. Raw logs can be messy. One system may record a username in one format, another may record it differently, and another may bury it inside a long message. Parsing helps identify fields such as timestamp, source address, destination address, username, event type, action, status, device name, application name, and error details. Once logs are parsed, the team can search for patterns more efficiently. For example, it becomes easier to find all failed sign-ins from one source, all access attempts by one account, or all events involving a specific system. Parsing turns logs from walls of text into structured evidence. Parsing also helps with correlation because different log sources need to be compared. A security information and event management (SIEM) platform may receive firewall logs, endpoint alerts, application records, identity events, and cloud activity. If those records are parsed into consistent fields, the platform can connect events that share a user, address, device, or time window. Poor parsing can cause missed detections or confusing investigations. If a username is parsed incorrectly, searches may miss important activity. If timestamps are handled badly, the timeline may be wrong. If event types are mislabeled, reports may overstate or understate the issue. Log parsing is not glamorous, but it is one of the practical foundations of useful monitoring and investigation. Clear data makes clear analysis much easier. Stakeholders become involved because security incidents rarely stay inside the security team. HR may be needed when an investigation involves employee conduct, insider misuse, policy violations, harassment, termination, or questions about whether an account's activity matches a person's role. Legal may be needed when evidence must be preserved for potential litigation, when notification obligations are possible, when contracts are involved, or when the organization needs advice about privilege and liability. Accounting or finance may be needed when the incident involves fraud, payments, invoices, payroll, wire transfers, financial reporting, or business loss. Information technology, IT, operations may be needed to restore systems, preserve devices, or change configurations. Each stakeholder brings knowledge and authority that the technical team may not have. Stakeholder involvement should be controlled and purposeful. Not everyone needs every detail, and sensitive investigation information should not be shared casually. HR may need facts tied to employee actions, but not every technical artifact. Legal may need evidence handling details and risk summaries. Accounting may need transaction records, timelines, and fraud indicators. Executives may need business impact, decision points, and recovery expectations. System owners may need to know what is affected and what changes are required. The security team often has to translate technical evidence into language each group can use. This does not mean hiding important facts. It means communicating the right information to the right people with the right level of detail. Good stakeholder coordination helps the organization respond as a whole instead of leaving the security team isolated. The main takeaway is that evidence handling and stakeholder coordination are connected. File integrity helps show whether files changed and whether collected files stayed trustworthy. Log integrity helps protect the records that explain what happened. Memory dumps capture volatile system state that may disappear after shutdown. Bit copies preserve storage more completely so analysis can happen without altering the original evidence. Snapshots preserve a point in time in virtual, cloud, or storage environments. Log parsing turns raw records into searchable fields that support correlation and timelines. HR, legal, accounting, IT, leadership, and other stakeholders may become involved because incidents affect people, money, contracts, operations, and obligations. A strong investigation protects evidence, interprets it carefully, and brings in the right partners without turning the process into confusion.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit DailyCyber.News.